we already have a function. So let us open the formatter. So we already have the format date function. So we can call this format date function here and pass our date of joining to this formatter. Okay. So once you pass this date of joining to the formatter, so it will format the date, and we can return this particular date into the same field, date of joining. Okay. I hope you understand. So we define the variable date of joining, and then formatter dot format date. So it's a formatter function. So I can go to the formatter.js. You can see it's a formatter function which returns the date in YYMMDD and then hours, minutes and seconds. And now in the Vue3 controller, I'm just calling the function by passing my date of joining here. So it returns the date of joining in this variable. 1 second. So we have read all the data from the form. So now this entire data is ready. Now we are good to send this particular data to the backend as a payload. So what is the exact meaning of the payload? Payload is nothing but the data that you are sending from the front end to the back end to create this particular record. And remember, the data must be present in a JSON format. So now let us construct, we already got the data, so we just need to construct this data in a JSON format. So I'm defining a variable called payload. So you can define the variable name in any way, no problem. There is no rule that you need to give the name as payload. Okay, this is not compulsory, guys. But since normally in a web application terminology, we call the data that is floating from front end to the back end as a payload, so I'm giving the same variable. Now it's a JSON object, means open braces, closing braces. Now in between, we need to give the data in a name and value page, where the name must be the OData field name and the value is the corresponding value. Okay, so let's copy the OData field name here, colon, and its value, this one. So like this, you need to form the entire payload. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the last one is 9. Yeah. Now change each and every field name. This is the employee name. This is designation. Skill, and then email, then salary, then status, then rating of the employee, and then date of joining. So left hand side OData properties are fine. Now right hand side we need to concentrate. So this is name, this is designation, and skill, email, salary. So typing all these fields is a little difficult, guys. Then rating, and date of join. So now my data is ready, the payload is ready. Now the next step is to trigger the create request to the backend. So to perform any of the CUD operations, that is create operation, update operation or delete operation, so all these three operations will be done through OData model API. Okay, so the OData model has, so you already know one method, and that is read operation. So this is something which we have done here. So we got the OData model object. How we got the OData model object? By using this dot get owner component, that is component.js. So on component.js there is a function get model, and within the round brackets, if you give some name, it returns that particular model to you. Got it? Say in my manifest.json, let me open manifest.json. How many models are there? So in the model section, there is a I18N model, there is a JSON model also. But what we have did here, in the owner component, I said get model. I did not mention any name of the model. When you do not mention any name of the model, it returns what? It returns a model which is having no name. Can anybody tell me what is the model which is having no name? What is the model which does not have any name?
OData model.
Exactly, OData model. So it has written the OData model, and OData model dot read function we have used, and we have did this in one of our previous class. So similarly, now I need to get my OData model. So this is the statement I need to write. I got my OData model. Now the same OData model API has a function called create. Okay, so this takes one parameter mainly, and that is in which table you want to create the record. So I want to create the record in employee table. So you need to copy the corresponding entity set and paste it here. So OData model dot create. This is the first parameter, and that is which indicates which method to call in the backend. So remember guys, OData model dot create with a entity set inside. This will go and call employee set underscore create underscore entity. Okay, so this will call employee set employee set underscore create underscore entity. So this is a very important thing you need to remember. Okay, right. So this is going to call this method, and to create a new employee, what else you need? You need the entire data of the employee, correct? So which is very much ready in this variable, and the variable is payload. So let's copy and paste it here. So the first parameter is telling which method to call. So this method to call. The second parameter is telling to pass this new employee data to this method. So it will call this method with this particular payload as the input parameter. Okay, all right. And the third parameter is to display the message whether this employee is created or anything happened like network failure or data issue, whatever. Okay, so we need to display a message whether employee is successfully created or anything happened, any error happened. Okay, so that is the third parameter which you need to write within the open braces and closing braces, and those are success, SUCC, success, so which is the first parameter as a function, and second parameter is error, so which is the second parameter. Got it, guys? So let me put this here. Yeah. So first parameter success, second parameter error. The success function will be called if the employee successfully created, and error function will be called in any other case apart from creating of the employee. The success function has two parameters inside. One is called request. So request means the data that you are sending. Second parameter is response. Response means the data that you are getting from the server, from the backend. Okay. And the error function has only one parameter, that is called error. Okay, right. Now I am going to keep a debug point inside the success and error, and we'll see at this moment whether it goes to the success or error. All right. Now I am going to fill a new employee data. So we already have 3 employees. So let me create a 4th employee now. So 100004. So name of the employee. So let me take here. Designation manager. Skill as ABAP. Email as vijay@gmail.com. Salary, let's take manager, right? We'll keep some 20 lakhs. Status permanent, and rating 5. Date of joining. So let us take today's date itself. Yeah, fine. Okay. So now let us hit the F12 button. Go to the sources. Go to the controller, view 3 controller, and let's keep a debug point inside the success and one debug point inside the error. Now, before I click on the submit button, I want to ask you, can anybody tell me at this moment, will it goes to the success? Will it goes to the error? Anybody? Come on. Will it successfully create this employee or not? Anyone?
It should create, right? The key you have given, unique key, so that should create.
So it should create. Okay. So any other answers?
I think
pardon?
Fail. Employee ID is repeated, I think.
No, it is not repeated. So it is 4.
It is failed because we are not
Method we did not write.
in OData.
So this will fail because I clearly given the first statement. This will go and call employee set underscore create entity. If you complete your logic in the front end, is that enough? You have to write the logic in the back end, right? Who will collect the data and save it into the table? We have not written that logic. So without that logic, how this record will get created? Right? Simple point. Correct? So this will not get created. But let us see how to check those kind of errors. So I'm clicking the submit button. So this has stopped at the debug point. Now let us execute line by line to see what data we are getting. So I can see my employee ID, name, Vijaya, designation, all these things, rating, date of joining, everything is fine. Okay. So now continue the execution. Now we can see it has went into the error. It has went into the error, and you can also see this error in the console. So this is what is the error. So what it is saying, let us read. Is it saying that this particular method, employee set underscore create underscore entity, is not implemented in the data provider class, or any other error? Let us see. So it is saying request failed with a status code 400, and it is saying the message is failed to read the property failed to read the property rating at the offset 144. So it is, see, actually what I expected is this will give the message saying that this method is not implemented in the data provider class. But even before that, there is another error occurred, and that is, it is because of the rating. It is saying whatever the data that you are sending for the rating, so this particular rating is having some problem. So let us try to understand what is the problem this rating is having. Okay, so let me click the continue the execution and let us submit the data once again. So I am clicking submit button once again, guys. So I click the submit button again. Now let us stop at the rating value. So let me copy this rating and paste it in the console to see what's wrong with the rating. Can anybody guess what's wrong with this rating before I answer? Anybody?
I think it's a property itself is not there, it is saying, right? It's not the data issue, it's a definition issue.
Rating is there already. Any other answer?
It's coming in single quotes.
Exactly, that's a perfect answer. It is present in single quotes. But actually, what is the data type that you have given for the rating? Let us understand. If you go to your metadata document, you said rating is an integer. What is EDM.byte? EDM.byte means it's an integer. So if you want to know your exact ABAP data type, you can log into your table and check what is its data type. It is int1. EDM.byte means int1. So basically, the collision has come, the conflict has come because of this data type mismatch. You said rating as an integer, but you are sending that as a string. So how to convert a string file to an integer file? So in JavaScript, there is something called parseInt. There is something called parseInt. So inside the parseInt, if I pass this rating, so by the way, what parseInt will do, the parseInt will convert a string quotated file or any number into a integer. So once it converts that into integer, you can see the single quotes are gone. Okay, so this particular thing we need to do. So let me copy this and now let me continue the execution. So again you will get the same error anyway. So it has went into the error, so that means you get the same error anyway. 1 second. So let me go here. So this is rating, and this rating I am replacing it with parseInt, means convert that into integer, and then this will be assigned to the rating. Okay, right. Now let us fill the data. I need to fill the data again. Since we change the code, it will refresh the application 100004 and name Vidya. Designation manager, skill adapt, email, @gmail.com, salary 20 lakhs, status MBA, permanent, rating 5, and the date of joining is rich. So I'm going to click the submit button again. So let's keep our debug window ready. Yeah, so let's click the submit button. Yeah, it's ready. So one by one, let us see. Now the rating is 5 here, that is fine, but since we converted this one here, so here now the rating, let's see this payload. The one that you are sending it to the backend is the payload, so you need to check the payload. Rating 5, so it does not have the double quotation, so no problem at all. Now let's continue the execution. Now also it went into the error. Now let us see what is the error it is saying. It is saying failed with the status 501, and the message is method employee set underscore create underscore entity not implemented in the data provider class. So it is saying, boss, everything is fine, but the method itself is not implemented. Okay, so this is the time to go to the backend and write the logic. So the logic is pretty simple, guys. We just need to collect the data and save that into the table. So let's go to the backend now. I'm logging in here. All right. Let's see GW. Runtime artifacts, DPC extension class. And we need to search for our method, that is employee set underscore create underscore entity. So where is that method? Employee set underscore create underscore entity, this is the one. Okay, so go to the edit mode and redefine the methods. Now in this particular method, the logic is pretty simple if you are a ABAPer. If you are not a ABAPer also, it is not that much difficult. Okay. See, the OData framework again helping you to collect this entire data, and it will provide this data inside this signature parameter called IO underscore data underscore provider. See how much help this OData framework is doing for the developer. Actually, the developer is doing only 50% of the job. The remaining 50% of the job is already done by the OData framework. So this IO data provider has a method called read entry data. So using the read entry data, it automatically get the front end data into a importing parameter called ES underscore data. So let me write this statement, then you will understand. So first of all, data declaration. So I need to collect this one record of the employee into this method. So one record means structure. So this is for non-ABAPers. So always remember, one record means structure. Multiple records means internal table. Okay. So am I getting one record or multiple records now? One record. So I need to declare what? I need to declare a structure. Okay. So I will call this as ls data, and its data type must be ts underscore employee. So I already have this data type created by the MPC class, so I'm using it. MPC class has created ts. TS means if it is ending with yes, you can understand its structure. TS, it's a structure. TT, it's a table. Okay. Right. So now let me write IO data provider hyphen read entry data. So this will read the data that is entered from front end to the back end into a importing parameter called ES data. So from which, so you can collect the data and save that in this structure. So what is LS data, guys? LS data is a structure. Structure of what? Structure for this employee table. Structured for employee table means it can hold one record, and that record you already filled with the data that is coming from the front end. So IO data provider read entry data will read the data that entered into this method. So nothing but your employee record, and you have stored that record in this LS data. Okay. Now just check if this LS data is not initial. So not initial means not empty. If this is not empty, then insert your table CB72 underscore employees 22 underscore employees table from this structure. That's all. Okay. And the OData protocol has some rules, and one of the rules is whenever insertion is successful, whenever the insert operation is successful, you need to send the same record as a response to the front end. I repeat this statement, all of you listen. Whenever the insert operation is successful, whenever the insert operation is successful, you need to send the same record, whatever the record that got created, you need to send that record as a response to the front end. Okay, so how can we do this? We can just check whether this record is successfully inserted or not by using a if condition. If psi sub c, so this is something new for the non-ABAPers. Psi sub c is equals to 0. So this is again for the non-ABAPers guys. So this psi sub c is a predefined system variable. So this gives 0 if the above operation is successful. If this operation is successful, then this psi sub c, which is a system parameter, it automatically contains 0. Okay, right. So if psi sub c is equal to 0, then I need to send the same record as a response to the front end. To send the data as a response to the front end, we always need to remember the returning data parameter. So what is returning data parameter? This one, ER underscore entity. So fill the ER underscore entity with the data that got created, which is LS data. That's all, my dear friends. So end if and end if again. End if again. Okay. So 2 times end if. That's all. Now let's activate this. Continue the execution. ER underscore entity is not valid. Once again. One error. So what is this error?
That space is required. Equal to.
Exactly. Got it. Good. This is ABAP, not JavaScript. So in JavaScript, everything is fine, but in ABAP, this kind of things we need to take care. All right, now this got activated. Fine. So previously we got in the front end the error saying that employee set underscore create entity not implemented. Now we have implemented it. So now we are good to click the submit button. And this time I'm expecting this will go into the success function. Now click the submit. Now continue the execution. And now let us see. Yes. This is no more going to the error. This is successfully getting into this function. Now the success function has 2 parameters. One is request, another one response. I want to show you what the request will contain and what response will contain. The request is nothing but the data that you are sending to the backend. So normally the developer will not do anything with the request and should not be doing anything with the request. Only with the response he has to display the message. Now the response contains the status code as 201 and the status text as created. So we need to check the response object. We need to check the status code. If the status code is 201, we can display the message saying that employee created successfully. Okay. So even without checking, also you can display the message that it is created because it went into the success. It goes to the success only when the record successfully created, guys. Okay. Now the final part is displaying the message. Right. So I'm closing this, and inside the success I'm going to display the message. So I can use the message box. Where is the message box library? Is that added? No. So if you add the message box library, sat/yum/message box. Use the shortcut name here, and message box dot success. Message box dot success, and you can write new employee created. Okay, and you can copy this message box and put it here, and you can say message box dot error, and you can give some generic message, because technical messages people will not understand. You can write oops, some error occurred, but please contact the support team. Okay, so that's all. Now this will display the message, guys. That's all for today. If you have any questions, you can ask me, guys. Otherwise, you can leave for today. So in tomorrow's class, we are going to see the update and delete operations.
While displaying, can we display that a newly created employee number in case if it is generated in the backend?
So it is present in response object, right? So you can display it. Let me. So when I shown this response object in the debug mode, so you can see the response under the response, the employee ID is there. So you can just give after this successfully, and you can give some hyphen or something, and you can use concatenation operator to display your new employee ID. So new employee ID, you can get it from this response object. So my response object. So this response object has a data dot emp like this. Okay, so you put it in the console, then you will understand. Okay, so in the debug mode, when you copy and paste this response into the console, so at that time you will understand that this employee ID, you can get it from response object. So inside the response object there is a data and then employee. So you need to go to that path. Okay. Otherwise, let me create one new employee and show you 0005. So name, let me take one of your name here. Name is over Babji is over Deepali. Let me take this. Deepali designation. Let's take developer. Skill as. Let me take that. Email. Salary. Let me take 5 lakhs. Status. Contract. Rating. Date of joining. Something. Okay. So now let's keep the debug point. I'm keeping a debug point inside the success. Now submit it. Continue. So this has went into the success. I just want to show you the response object. So the response is saying status code 201, status text created, and I want to see the data. So response dot data. So this data has all my data. So I can write response dot data dot empid. Okay. Now I can continue my execution, and here you can see new employee created successfully, and the employee ID is 100004. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. So fine then, we'll meet in tomorrow's class with our update and delete operations. Have a nice day. Bye.